Well, good evening again, everybody. This is Lynn Gardner, and I'm so thrilled to see so many people on this call tonight. I can't tell who you are, but I can see a whole bunch of phone numbers on my screen, and that always excites me. We're studying, or I'm studying at least, the Dream Again series by Bruce Wilkinson, and I'm just really excited about the things that I'm learning. I think some people are kind of shying away from this because they don't understand. They think it's maybe just that whole build another why, do your vision board kind of thing, but it's really getting a lot deeper than that to try to determine where we are. We all have a dream. We've been talking about that. We all have a dream. So where are we with that dream? So the first week that we engaged in the study, we were talking about how so quickly your dreams, those dreams that everybody's got one or two or three, okay? But those dreams, especially in our business, can die out very quickly if we don't plan for interruptions. Basically, reality gets in the way, We get excited, we have this great dream, we have this great vision, and then before you know it, a kid's sick or a car breaks down or whatever it is that goes on in life, if we're don't understand that those things are still going to happen while we're building our dream, the first thing that we can hit is disappointment. Of course, disappointment means that it failed to meet our expectations. We aren't where we thought we were going to be. The second thing, if that still goes unchecked and we don't, get a handle on the fact that life is still going on, the next step is we hit discouragement. And, of course, discouragement means we're lacking courage, so that's when fear sets in. And God knows we can do a lot of damage when we let fear set in. And if we still don't, get a handle on that reality that goes on in our lives, the next step that we hit is disillusionment. And that's really where you'll hear people say, oh, nobody can sell these units, nobody's going to buy this. You hear people because they're disillusioned. They were excited in the beginning, and now they're second-guessing everything. And if we still don't get a handle on it, we go into despair. And, of course, despair is when we lose hope, we get discouraged, we might get depressed, all those things that we had hoped for go away. But there's no excuse for those dreams going away. And so then the next week we talked about how, again, everybody has a dream or two or three, and maybe you've been beaten up in life and you walked away from that dream, but something within you was kindled, and it wasn't kindled by you guys. You were given natural talents and gifts and things that were really God's way of being able to kindle that dream within you, So we talked about, what are your gifts and talents? I hope you took a chance to list them down so that it can kind of come full circle for you. You'll start seeing where your strengths are is really directly correlated to your dream. You're going to find it. It's really interesting to see how it looks like it's all threaded together, and I never looked at it that way even for myself, right? But that's where you'll find the core to your dreams. Where are your gifts and talents? What are you naturally drawn to? And, of course, we talk about, that most people on this line tonight are probably people in my same business, and we know that when we're talking about having a why and, having that vision board, certainly we have a financial threat. I mean, you don't have a number attached to that goal, you're never going to reach the goal. So, we do have a financial goal. But the bottom line is this: so many things that we want to accomplish, that we're called to accomplish, our dreams and things like that, have a financial component. So it could be that you want to go be in missions overseas, but you can't because you still have a mortgage and debt and all that stuff. Whatever it is, there's always a financial thread there. There is a purpose, a good purpose for money. And if you're still in that mode of struggling, thinking, especially if you're a person of faith, that you're supposed to be floundered around and in poverty, that's not the way it's supposed to be. And if you have a dream, you got to get with it. And so this week was really interesting for me as well, because we were talking about opening the door to that dream. We do, again, we know we have dreams, and perhaps you gave up on a dream that you had, a long, long time ago, or you're struggling to get that dream going. We do know that the only thing that really gets in the way of you accomplishing that dream, frankly, is that you think it's too big. We can sit there with a group of people maybe and talk about our whys and come up with what we want, and before you know it, what goes on in your head is that your conscious mind kicks in and says, wait a minute, you can't do that. Fear kicks in. It's another component. But the biggest component is usually when we dream, it's a big stinking dream. It's a God-sized dream. And if you're not careful, then you're going to close the door on that dream because you just think it's too big. But, we need to open that door. There's a barrier between us and the dream, that door that we need to unlock. I can't unlock your door, and you can't unlock mine. It could be that You just have a little door to open. It could be that it's a huge door to open. It doesn't really matter. It could be any kind of door. If you could imagine a door between you and your dream, you and what you hope to accomplish. Imagine a big door, whatever gets to you, so you can visualize it. A wooden door, glass door, metal door, it doesn't matter. There's a door. And everyone's door will look different in each other's eyes. And my door isn't going to look like your door, right? But the one thing that we'll have in common is everybody's door is locked. And so, unfortunately, most people will never take the step to put the key in to unlock the door in order to open up that door to be toward their destiny. We just won't do it. Why? Again, because we think it's too big. We look at the door and say, that's too scary. What if I open the door? What's going to be behind the door? What's going to be expected of me? What if I fail? All these things kick in. Many people will look at that door and sometimes pray that their door will somehow just open up, and we make that mistake, especially in our business. We have this big dream, our why, our purpose, our vision board, all those things in place. But it takes a little work there, right? We can't just supernaturally achieve all that stuff. We're going to have to do our part too. Some people throw themselves against that door, hoping to just, force it open. And then again, they're trying to force it through, and they're not willing to take those practical steps that they need to take, and working through reality at the same time, right? They're not willing to do that. They just want to force it open. So either we have dreamers that think it's just going to miraculously open up just because, or we have people that just want to force. Some may search out a way to go around the door, right? I want to go around the steps. I just want to get there, so I don't want to go through all steps. I just want to go around that door where I want to dig underground, and I want to get to the other side. But we can try and try and try whatever we want. You simply cannot get to the other side of that door without going through the door. The door is the only path to the dream, and it's going to remain locked until you insert your dream key, right? It's pretty interesting to think about. And what's worse, though, is the longer you stand in front of that door, or I stand in front of that door, and whatever stops us, right? We're fearful, we're afraid what's behind it, we're afraid of what's going to take place, we think it's too big. Whatever it is, the longer we stand on this side of the door, the bigger the door gets. And all of a sudden we're standing there, we're feeling intimidated. It's towering above us. It's closed. It's locked. And it's the thought of putting that key in the lock just becomes overwhelming. Your imagination may take over and take you in all kinds of different directions as you start to envision all these crazy things on the other side of that door. But your dream's on the other side of that door. You begin to dread what could happen if you dare to open that door. And I know it's funny how so many people will push back a little bit. I guess God calls this to happen for me, but a lot of people who come into my world really need a financial breakthrough. I'm a debt-free kind of person, okay, so I'm always going to preach to you about getting out of debt. But, they need a financial breakthrough. They really need something, right? But they're so afraid. They're just afraid of what's on the other side of it. And they'll dread it and dread it and dread it, and they just won't do anything. So we got to get past that. We've got to unlock that door and get past it. There's no easy way, But descriptions such as, fear and worry and anxiety, they're going to just envelop your heart and your mind and just totally consume you if you don't get a handle on that. You may have begun to develop this, plan, but it's going to get thwarted unless you also understand that there's a door in front of me. On the other side of it is my victory. I'm going to have to muster the courage up and unlock that door and walk through the door. There's no easy way around it. Can't go around it. Can't crawl under it, right? Until you understand that, then you can't possibly get to the things that you were intended to do. So these ideas and concepts that people use to justify not doing something once they felt like they should is the exact thing that they need to be working on. Eventually you become convinced that your dream just might be impossible after all if you don't get a handle on these things. But, why did you come up with it? Where did the dream come from in the first place? Why did you ever dream up such an improbable dream? Why would you have a dream within you that's too big to accomplish? It's too big to go through. Where'd that come from? Well, again, when God plants a seed, believe me, that door is capable of opening up. And you can't look at your dream with necessarily just human eyes. You have to look at it a lot in faith. That dream didn't come by accident. So you're going to be equipped to fulfill that dream if you can muster up the courage yourself. So surely there must be something behind it. But truth be told, Your dream is only impossible because you're standing before that closed door, you're in front of that closed door, and you're holding the key which you refuse to use. Why do you refuse to use it? Same reason why so many people refuse to use theirs. You're not alone. Probably everybody on this call, including me, can identify because we're afraid, right? Afraid of what? Again, we're afraid of many things. A lot of people are afraid of failure. Those people that I talked about coming into my world, a lot of them actually had seen success, and then the economy took over. They lost so much, and they're afraid of failure. Some people have insecurities where maybe you had people in your life saying, you can't do that. You'll never be able to accomplish that. Whatever. They're afraid of that failure. They're afraid of loss. A lot of people are afraid of looking silly. I got this big dream here. What if I don't accomplish that dream? Everybody's looking at me to accomplish this dream. I'm going to look like a fool, right? Running out of resources. Some people worry about that. Some people think, well, what if I'm just wasting my time? Some people worry about making mistakes. But finding out your dream wasn't as grand as you believed it could have been, right? Or finding out truths concerning yourself may not be what you want to know. The list goes on and on of things that we as people, just let our minds and our hearts get consumed by. But the door still remains closed. So because you and so many others like you are just not comfortable enough to stick the key in, open up the door, and step on in. Why? We like our comfort zone, don't we? When you think about it, human nature is kind of strange. We're just kind of like slugs. We like our comfort zone. We like to see that dream, but, we don't want to get uncomfortable to get that dream. Let me tell you something, that nothing meaningful in your life, anything big, significant, meaningful, nothing comes unless you stepped outside of that comfort zone. If people didn't get outside their comfort zone, they would never be in relationships. They would never have children. They'd never have anything if they didn't get outside their comfort zone, right? So we have to. A comfort zone, it's what we know. We predict and we feel safe within. That's where we feel safe. I'm going to stay right here with the familiar, and I don't ever have to go anywhere, then I'm content. But you are never going to get your dream done doing that. It's not where your dream will be found in that. Nobody's dream is going to be in their comfort zone. So always goes back to that emotional, deep-rooted thing within you that's going to drive you to chase that dream, because everybody wants to be in their comfort zone. I don't like being uncomfortable, but we're not going to get there unless we find the courage to put the key in and open the door. And this is because the very nature of a dream is something beyond your abilities. It's beyond your resources, and it's even beyond your talents. When you have a dream like that, there's really nothing logical or rational, right? It's supersized. And so, that's why you fight it. Your mind fights it and gives you excuses because it's bigger than you think. Your dream sits outside of your routine and your safe surroundings and your comfort of your recliner, right? It all sits outside of that. And it's true for all of us. And so we're going to look at a couple of things that I think are interesting. I hope you have something to write with, because I'm sharing with you each week some things that are being shared with me, and hopefully you'll be able to take some notes on some of these things and put them to use. It's very, very interesting to me, some of the questionnaires that we have here. Bear with me, I'm pulling this up on my screen, and then I'll share it with you just momentarily. Hold on one second. Okay, so one of the things that the study is pointing out is that when you look, if you're a person of faith, you certainly have looked at many situations, where faith had to kick in, and huge things happen, I love to pick on poor Moses, because Moses, here he is leading these whiny people to the promised land, and they've gone through so much, and they finally, here they are, they're dead-ended at the sea, and their enemies are going to devour them, and everybody's whining, and Moses says, Lord, what am I going to do? And I'm paraphrasing, obviously, and God says, what are you talking to me for? Just keep moving. Do you think Moses thought for one microsecond that the sea would be parted? I mean, come on. These things are big things. So if you are a person of faith, you kind of have to get into that mentality. And so one of the things that he says to do is take a minute and write down what are some of the most prominent fears or negative thoughts that you have concerning your dream. What are you feeling? Things that you feel inside when you reflect on your dream. Do you get excited, or you get that fear kicking in? And all those reasons you can't accomplish kicking in. So write those things down. And it might even seem small to you, right, to write it down, but it does serve a purpose. So again, take a few minutes, not now, of course, but in your own time, and write down what are those biggest fears or those thoughts that you keep boom, they come right to your mind when you think about your dream, right? And once you completed that, take a moment just to just remind yourself, and you might want to commit the scripture to your memory, and that is Philippians 4:13 says, I can do all things through him who gives me strength. And so remember that your dream did not come from you, okay, so I'm backing up on you a little bit. The dream was planted within you to fulfill a purpose that none of us really know on this side of heaven, right? But that dream was planted in you to fulfill a purpose. So when you've got that big door in front of you and you refuse to put the key in, and then you take a minute and you write down the things that you're afraid of, Scripture is going to help you to be reminded that there's nothing that can't happen. All things are possible, through him who gives you strength. And then so we look at that. But I thought it was really interesting that he also took us to 2 Kings 6:15 through 17. So bear with me, and I'm going to read that. You might want to make a note of that. 2 Kings, I lost my own place here. 2 Kings 15 through 17. So we're talking about Elisha here. So it says, when the servant of man of God got up and went out early the next morning, an army with horses and chariots had surrounded the city. And he says, oh, no, my Lord, what shall we do? The servant asked. Don't be afraid, the prophet answered Elisha, right? Those who are with us are more than those who are with them. And Elisha prayed, open his eyes, Lord, so that he may see. Now he's calling out saying, basically, take away his fears, Lord. Equip him for this battle, right? So it's open his eyes, Lord, that he may see. Then the Lord opened the servant's eyes, and he looked and saw the hills full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. Now, what's the point there? The point is that the human eye and the human mind cannot comprehend all that's possible in a dream, right? And so Elijah called out and said, God, show him, so he's not so fearful. Do something so that he can see that you are in control of this battle. And that's what he saw. He saw a vision of chariots and, and soldiers all around, everywhere he looked. So he could no longer be afraid of that. So, what was the servant of Elisha afraid of? So I want you to, again, make note, 2 Kings 6:15 through 17, and write down these questions that you can answer in your own time. Number one, what was the servant of Elisha afraid of? If you could imagine yourself in his shoes, they're ready to go under attack, right? Imagine yourself in his shoes and answer, what was he afraid of? And then based on the context of what is happening there, is that a seemingly legitimate thing to fear? So he was afraid, and based on what you know, what you read, was that something legitimate to fear? And then explain why or why not. And then the next question is, what did Elijah know or see that his servant did not? And I think we can all answer that and know that, he knew that God Almighty was protecting him, right? But the servant needed to see it. Number 4 is, what did Elisha do in order to help calm his servant's fears? Number 5 question is, what did God do in response to Elisha's prayer? So then we have to look at, do you believe the Lord can give his perspective on the fears you listed earlier, or, based on this scripture? You got a fearful guy. We can't do this. We can't put, hey, Elisha, I know you got great plans, man, and I'm right here behind you, and you're a prophet, but we can't pull this off. There's more of them than there are of us. And then God answered that. So based on that, can you match that up with the fears you listed earlier? And just kind of look at that, get a perspective on that. If he could give a vision of, an army surrounding, this battle, basically, you think he can't be supernaturally in his eyes bring forth the key to open the door to your dream? Do you believe God has all that is necessary to fully carry out the dreams he planted within you? I mean, why would God plant a seed of a dream within you if he didn't know he had what it took to get that thing fulfilled? You see, he's ready. He planted that seed within you. And I know you might be sitting there saying, well, how is that? Because I just want to bake cakes. It doesn't matter. He knows, right? Whatever that is within you, he has a plan for it. You might be baking cakes and being in touch with 1,000 people a week to share the gospel. You don't know what that really is all about, right? But if he plants something within you, don't you think he's ready to help you, be equipped to fulfill it? So you've got to think about those things. The dream that you have, again, was not a mistake. the dream that you had was big. And all of our gifts and our talents come together toward that dream to leverage us toward what we're supposed to be doing. You know what, Bruce Wilkinson was sharing his story to kind of bring it down into practical terms. Maybe it'll help you understand, what you're looking at here. And he was talking about this church that he visited, actually, and the pastor was sharing with him that church had gone from 200 to 400 people, and I can't remember now. I think it was 2 months. It was ridiculous. It doubled in size in 2 months. It was crazy. And so, he was asking all these questions. The moral of the story is that there was somebody in their church that was very, very gifted at marketing. This was like a brilliant marketeer, and just amazing, right? And he stepped up to say, maybe I can help get the word out about our church. And so he put the practical skills, those gifts and talents that God gave him, the gifts and talents that God gave him to provide very well for his family, and he used that to help increase the size of the church. Now, that's not talking about souls necessarily, but, if we're on the same page, you understand the importance of getting exposure to the gospel to get them saved. But the bottom line is that church doubled in size because somebody was gifted. So don't look at whatever that dream is. If you have a dream of whatever, you can't say, well, I don't understand because all I want to do is, walk dogs, or all I want to do is, adopt children. Whatever it is, that dream was put there by somebody other than you. And don't allow yourself to be on this side of the dream door, sitting there, whatever that door looks like, too afraid to put the stinking key in and open the door, because you serve a big God. And he will equip you for the things that are on the other side. But, of course, we always have to deal with our fear. We know that, where fear comes from, okay? It's not a good place. And we know that when we can get a handle on ourselves, if we can work with the right mindset, if we can, nourish our souls, we know that we have nothing to be afraid of. But that fear, if it goes unchecked, you will never fulfill what you were intended to fulfill. And, as we look at these things, I have gotten a lot of feedback, people sending me emails and questions and things like that. Listen, we're not talking about, if you don't fulfill the dream or the purpose that you were born to fulfill, it's not a salvation issue. In other words, you can actually have a saving faith, but you have a wasted life. I mean, who wants that? I can't think of anything worse. This is my 60th year. I've never been more excited. I've never been more willing and able to serve God than I am right now. And I want to know that whatever he brought me here for, whatever that purpose is, I need to fulfill it. For me, it's kind of fun to see things threaded together. I share with you guys that, as a young person, I didn't have dreams. There were no dreams. So I've had to learn to dream. But as I look at the things I'm naturally drawn to, I was considering, some of you follow me on Facebook, and some of you know that I have a spiritual side to Facebook. I never planned that, guys. I like to write, no doubt. I love the Lord, no doubt. But it just kind of came together where the things that I enjoy doing, if you find yourself inclined to do certain things over and over, that's usually a hint, for your dream, right? So I like to do that. But God opened that door. And I will probably never know the impact that that's having, right? I don't know who's reading that. I mean, I know how many, I can look on Facebook and see how many people are, quote, unquote, following. There is no measure to how many lives that's touching, just by that one little gift and talent that God's given me being put into action. So see, what I'm getting at is you can't look at whatever that dream is. Don't fool yourself and say, well, it doesn't make any sense because my dream, doesn't have a financial component, or my dream doesn't do this or that, because it's all going to come full circle for you. You're going to see the importance of that desire you have within you when you think about that one thing or two things or whatever that you really, really enjoy, that you're naturally passionate about, and you match that up with your natural gifts and talents, and you look at that dream, you're going to be surprised at how it all threads together. It's a very, very exciting journey. So I hope that you did take some notes, and you're going to be considering this week. Last week it's what are your natural gifts and talents, and how there were a couple questions there that you should have been answering for yourself. And then this week is to write down those fears or those thoughts, and then you consider Scripture. And you'll realize that, my goodness, the things that I'm afraid of, what am I afraid of? Failure? I mean, we serve a big God. The one that planted the seed for that dream in the first place is ready to see it through with you. Can you do it in your own will? No, you really can't. I mean, there's a practical component, like that guy that, was a masterful marketer. There's a practical side, our natural gifts and talents. But don't be afraid of that dream, guys, because if it's there within you, God's ready to help you see it through. But you do have to put the key in that door, and you got to unlock that door. So I'm going to close on that, open it up, *6 if anybody wants to comment, have a question, anything that you'd like to add before we conclude the call. I'd love to hear from you. *6. It's kind of fun to dream again. It's fun to look at all these things and ponder this and ponder that. I got to tell you, I'm pretty excited about it myself. Anybody want to come on the line, and that's no problem if you don't, but I do like to give everybody an opportunity if you'd like to pipe in and add your 2 cents. In the meantime, I do hope you have that list. Again, it will be recorded. It is being recorded, and it will be uploaded. If you follow me on Facebook, I'll be posting it, and if you've subscribed to YouTube, you'll automatically get it. So if you want to listen to it again, I thank you for allowing me the privilege of bringing this to you. I'm really, really enjoying it for my own life, and I hope, again, I'm taking 1 week's worth of study and trying to condense it into one phone call with you guys, so I hope you got something out of it. Last call, *6. Anybody want to add or question, say anything at all? Okay, guys, thank you for joining in tonight. I'll see you guys next Monday. You guys go make it a great night. Take care. Bye-bye.